Hello, hello. We are back. Yes, we are back with another Serenity, Courage, and Wisdom, a Survivor Speaks interview series. Who is ready? I'm ready for our next survivor who I will be interviewing tonight or today, whenever you're watching this morning, whenever you're watching this replay, if you're watching a replay. Thank you so much for joining us. I am Keisha Carter, the CEO and founder of Serenity, Courage, and Wisdom. And tonight, at this time, you're going to be hearing a amazing dynamic story, and I'm super excited to share for her to share her powerful story with you. Now, before we get into it, I'm gonna bring her on stage. Hey, Lindsay.
Hey girl.
Hey, girl. I'm so excited to have you join me today. Before we get into it, Lindsay, I want to, of course, let them know how that they can visit us. Hold on. Okay, there we go. So that they can visit Serenity Courage and Wisdom's website, SCAWINC.org. Hello, somebody say hey boo. Tia say hey boo.
Hey
Hey.
boo.
So make sure you check out Serenity Courage and Wisdom. Visit our website. Follow us at SCAWINC on all social media platforms. Of course, you want to email me, get in contact with me. My email address is Keisha Carter at SCAWINC.org. All right. So we got that out of the way. All right. If you didn't know, January is cervical Cancer Awareness Month. It's also, you may also hear people call it CCAM or Cervical Health Awareness Month. And so we want you to be aware of HPV, cervical cancer, and there are so many different things that are coming up, events that are coming up, different ways that you can learn more about cervical cancer, so you don't have to go through what we went through, right? So
Right.
anything you want to share, Lindsay, before we get into your amazing story about cervical health awareness month?
Definitely make sure that you're getting your annual PAP. Make sure you're going to the doctor if anything is wrong. Listen to your body. Ask all the questions that you need to when you're at your appointments, and make sure you are advocating for yourself and your health.
That's right. So more to come. Make sure you are following us. There, you're gonna hear how you can get in contact with our special guest, Lindsay Gullatte-Lee. Do
Gullatte.
you want Gullette?
Gullatte.
Gullette. Thank you for
Yes, ma'am.
correcting me, Lindsay
It's okay.
Gullette-Lee. And correct me again if you had to, please. Um, so that you'll be able to contact her and know all of the amazing things that she has going on, what she's going to tell us about today. All right. So, Survivor Speaks, it is a interview series where you will learn more about other survivors, learn more about their stories and how they are doing amazing things in their local and um, in the community at large. All right, so we have today Lindsay, one more time. Gullette.
Gullatte-Lee.
I get it. Lindsay Gullette-Lee. Get
Yes,
in good with
ma'am.
your health is our the name of the series for today. I'm gonna go in the chat real quick. Hey Gwen. Gwen says
Hey,
hello.
Gwen.
Liz says, hey Lindsay.
That's my
Gullette-Lee.
boo. Hey,
Hey boo.
Sugarfoot.
There you go, my boo right there says hello. Chris says hello. Is it Latia?
Yes, ma'am. Hey,
Lat-
sis.
she say hey sis. Shay says hey beautiful.
Hey, beautiful.
I don't know what that comment was. Gwen says hey ladies. Hey Gwen. Oh my gosh. I tell you, I said it at in my last interview, and I'm gonna say it again. I say it all the time. cancer is a club that you do not want to be a part of. I'm telling you.
Right.
But if you happen to be,
Absolutely.
it is so amazing the people that you meet. Oh my gosh. And so I'm just so honored to have you on today, Lindsay, to share your story. I'm looking forward to you sharing with us um, how you became a survivor, how you, what you went through. So, can you tell us first? Tell us who you are, where you're from, and then we can get into your story of, how you were diagnosed and everything.
Okay. Hi, I'm Lindsay Gullatte-Lee. I am a mom of five biological and three bonus babies. I am a grandma, but my grandbaby calls me Grapes. I have one granddaughter. I have one dog, and I've been married for 13 years. I am originally from New Jersey and currently living in North Carolina, where we have been for the past 6 years.
Awesome, awesome. So you've been here for 6 years
Yes,
back
ma'am.
in North Carolina. Awesome. And so tell us, when were you diagnosed? How old were you? How did you find out that you were diagnosed? Tell us what you were diagnosed with, your stage, all of that good stuff.
I was diagnosed November of 2022, which is just last year. I was 44, about to turn 45, and my birthday is in November. I actually found out the day before my husband's birthday, on November 1st, and his birthday is the 2nd. And I was hospitalized actually on his birthday. So I
Mm.
spent my birthday, his birthday, and my dad's birthday, all of our birthdays are in November, in the hospital. I was diagnosed November 9th. I was staged at stage 3C cervical cancer, but of course in the hospital that they told me stage 2. I found out I was stage 3 just recently by looking at my chart. So I
Oh,
was stage 3C, and my tumor was 9.8 centimeters.
wow.
Yeah, covering my
Wow.
entire cervix.
So you were how old were you again?
I was 44 turning 45.
44. Okay, 44,
Hmm.
45. And so I like to ask that question, hopefully, our guests are comfortable with it because people don't realize the differences in ages. You
Right,
know, I was 28, like you say, you were 44, 45. So age is not necessarily a factor all the time. So it's
right.
important that we all go to the doctor and all of us get
Absolutely.
checked out. So, how did you find out? How were you diagnosed? When was it detected? Were there any symptoms that you?
So I always say that my story started with bleeding.
Mm,
I was never one of those people that had irregular periods. All my periods were regular, exactly 28 days to the minute. And the only time that I never had a period or didn't have a period was when I was pregnant, each one of my pregnancies. So when I was bleeding in between my pregnancies, and it wasn't just a little bit of bleeding, it was a lot of bleeding. It was concerning. And it started in June of last year, and I went to the ER because it was alarming, how much I was bleeding. And I was told that everything was okay. It was just probably my period changing. Um, so when it happened again, the next month, I went to see my regular doctor, and she told me that she was going to test me for hypothyroid because I was explaining that I was bleeding just randomly out of the blue. And for a minute, I was hyped. For a minute, I was like, oh, well, maybe this is menopause. Maybe this is what happens right before menopause isn't about to be gone for good. So I was excited.
mm-hmm.
But she told me that no, it wasn't menopause. So she tested me for hypothyroid, and the hypothyroid came back positive. And I had to go through a barrage of tests or whatever. And I tested positive for Graves' disease. which is a form of
Mm,
hyperthyroid, pretty common form of hyperthyroid. But I had never even heard of Graves' disease. I never even knew what a thyroid did in your body, so I wasn't
mm-hmm.
looking to find that out either. So I
Right.
was told to go to an endocrinologist, and she asked me, how did I get to the diagnosis of hyperthyroid, and did I have any symptoms? And I told her no, I was bleeding and irregularly. And I was describing the type of bleeding that I was having, and she told me that she was surprised that they tested me for hyperthyroid because the type of bleeding that I was experiencing was not consistent with hyperthyroid. And
Mm,
she suggested that I go and see my gynecologist, which I had already had planned to go, but gynecologist appointments usually are very far out. Takes a while to get in to see one, and so it took a while. So it was still another couple of months before I was able to get in and see a gynecologist.
mm-hmm.
Um, and when I did, by that time I had already saw four other doctors before him. And when I got to him, before I even finished my sentence, all I said was, "My I've been bleeding irregularly." He started writing on a prescription pad, and I said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "Oh, you said that you were bleeding irregularly, so I'm writing you a prescription for birth control." And I said, "No, that's not what I said. I didn't say I had irregular periods. I said I'm bleeding irregularly." By this time, I had already
Right.
told four other doctors, and I was frustrated because by now the bleeding was so severe that I could bleed anywhere. I was wearing diapers because I was working in a school at a time, and I didn't want the kids to, see me bleeding and get scared. So I would wear, Pampers, and
Wow.
I could sit on the toilet for 45 minutes and just be bleeding. And so I took a video and
Mm-hmm.
pictures, so that people would take me seriously, because obviously y'all not paying attention. I'm telling y'all that this bleeding is not normal for me. And when
Mm-hmm.
he saw the pictures, he said, "Yeah, that's not normal at all." So he did an exam. He told me that my cervix felt very irregular, and that he was sending me for an further testing, which was an ultrasound, which I didn't know was a vaginal one. He never said that. He just said, "We're sending you for an ultrasound." And you know, that's how I found out.
Oh my gosh. One of the things that popped out to me, like, first of all, before I get to that, if you have not shared, listen, somebody needs to hear this story. Make sure you share, like. I love the hearts. Thank y'all for the hearts. Make sure you share, like, and feel free to comment. We'll address them as soon as we get a chance. But one of the things that, if you didn't catch it, you got to advocate for yourself. You have to
That's right.
advocate for yourself. And I hear that from you saying, look, you're not listening to me. Do you hear the words that are coming out of my mouth? I'm trying to tell you. And then taking you at your word. Like, I wish these doctors would take us at our words. If I say I'm experiencing this, I need you to
Right.
at least test it, try it out.
Right.
It could be
Right.
something totally different, maybe nothing at all, but try
Right.
it out. Take me at my word. Ask, and then the last thing I took from what you said was ask questions.
Right.
Be okay with asking your doctors questions, ladies. Don't, men too, if y'all listening. Don't be afraid to ask your doctors questions. That's what they're there for. They are practicing medicine. So that means they
Right.
don't know it all.
They don't know it all. Right.
Yes, Tia says absolutely. Latia says absolutely. So, we gotta advocate. Take prayerfully, our doctors. Y'all take us at our word and ask questions, ladies. Okay. All right. So, um, did you? Okay, you told us about the symptoms that you had before. How did you feel when you first learned that you were diagnosed with cancer? It sounds like you had a whole lot going on, like with the thyroid. Was it hyperthyroid? I think, yeah,
Yes.
hyperthyroid. So you had so many different things coming at you. can you talk about the mental and emotional part of what you experience? Because sometimes people don't realize the impact that it has on you as a patient.
Right.
We only recognize it from a caregiver perspective, but as a patient, what was that like for you?
Well, first I have to tell you how he told me. So I
Okay.
waited for 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
After that original appointment, and of course, you get your results in my chart. It comes up before you get back to the doctor. So I saw mass, and I was kind of freaking out because everybody knows what mass means. So for me, I kind of started googling everything, but I didn't understand anything else that was in it but mass. So that could have been anything, and I didn't want to panic too much because I also saw a fibroid, so I figured that that's what the mass was, and that's how I took it. So when I finally got in to see him 2 weeks later, he literally walked in the room. He said to me, "I have good news and bad news." He said, "The bad news is that you have cervical cancer. And the good news is that you are very close to the Levine Cancer Center and they're going to take good care of you." And he walked out. That was it.
Oh my
He did not
gosh.
he did not explain my results. He did not ask me if I was okay, if I came by myself, if I was nothing. Literally walked out of the room, and I sat there for a minute because
Mm.
A, I'm in shock, and B, where you going? So I
Right.
literally got up and opened the door and looked for him because he was nowhere in sight. Like he disappeared. And, the
Mm.
nurse was like, the Levine Center will contact you. And that was it.
It's like, okay, we done with you.
Yes.
You now belong to them. It's
Yes.
listen, I like what Tia said. She said yes, about what we were saying before when we were talking about advocating for ourselves. She said yes, and don't be afraid to change doctors if you aren't being heard. This is a prime example of what Lindsay just said. Sometimes you got to change doctors anyway because of their
Yes.
bedside manners. You
Indeed.
know, but Tia
Indeed.
says, no way. Yes,
Yes.
it's crazy. You
Hmm.
if y'all hear the stories that people have gone through, that's why we have this, platform, because we need your stories to be heard so that other people can recognize if this happened to you, you need to be looking for another doctor. Liz
Right.
says bedside mannerism. Yes, it's
Yes.
crazy. It hurts my heart to hear that you even experienced something like that.
Yes. So after that happened, I drove home in complete shock. I drove home and I went to work the next day
Mm-hmm.
because what else was I supposed to do? And I got a call while I was at work. I got a call from the Levine Center saying that they could take me that day. So
Oh, okay.
I left work early and I went to the Levine Center and I met my oncologist. Her name is Dr. Casablanca. She's amazing. And
Mm-hmm.
I told her that the first thing I said was I never want to see that doctor again in life ever.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, "I understand, and you won't have to."
It's
So
traumatizing.
yeah,
That's
very
yeah.
traumatizing, very
Mm-hmm.
traumatizing. So she actually explained my results, and she told me that he never should have said that because technically it was something that he saw, but should never have said that because it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
They hadn't done a biopsy, so they couldn't really confirm at that time. So at that time
Mm-hmm.
is what she said. She suspected that that's exactly what it was, and that she was going to do a biopsy then, and she did.
Mm-hmm.
However, because my tumor was so big at the time, it started to bleed there, and they couldn't control the bleeding, so I had to stay in the hospital for 2 days.
Oh wow.
Yes,
And see, that's the thing. Like some doctors, I don't know if they get ahead of themselves or what. Like, you know, you should have the oncologist confirm. The
right.
oncologist should be the one to confirm cancer, not somebody else. So, um, Liz says means a lot, helps me decide on who I will be seen by. And she said,
Right.
wow. Yeah. This is real, y'all. These are real stories. Okay. So, um, with your treatment, tell us what happened next. So you were diagnosed. What happened next as far as treatment is concerned?
So I was in the hospital for 2 days. I got to go home that Sunday night, and then Monday I went to work, and
Wow.
Tuesday I started bleeding again. So I had to go back into the hospital, and that time I ended up staying for a total of 10 days. Um,
Wow.
so they had to. So my treatment plan was radiation, external radiation, chemotherapy, and brachytherapy, which is internal radiation for people that don't know what
Mm-hmm.
brachytherapy is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so they had to start my internal radiation in the hospital because I was still bleeding. I had to
Mm-hmm.
go through these packing procedures. For anybody that doesn't know what packing is, you don't want to know what packing is.
Mm-mm.
But
You
I'm gonna
don't.
tell you because this is the conversations that we need to be having. And
Mm-hmm.
basically, they put gauze in your vagina with the medicine at on the tip of it, and they insert it inside of you to stop the bleeding. However, I was bleeding through the packing. So
Mm.
that's why I had to stay in the hospital so long. They had to hurry up
Wow.
and do my radiation. I was supposed to do radiation outpatient, but because I was
Mm-hmm.
bleeding so much, they had to start my radiation right away.
Mm. Wow. I know every time I had the brachytherapy, they would pack me. So that's why I know I can relate to what you're describing. And
Yeah,
it is
it's
not something you want to experience. I would just
at
say that.
all.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
No.
Wow. So you went through internal, external radiation, chemotherapy.
Yes.
Ah, man. And so when did your treatment finish?
My treatments ended on January 5th January 5th of this year,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yay.
January 14th is when I
Mm-hmm.
had my very first health fair
And
here.
that's what's the name of your health fair?
Getting good with your health. That's when I decided to do it while I was in the hospital because I realized that it was so many people that were suffering in silence. I realized it
Mm-hmm.
was so many people that were ignorant about the HPV vaccine, including myself. I will be honest to say that I didn't know anything about the vaccine when it was first approached to me about with my first daughter. She was 11 years old, and her doctor said, "Hey, she can get this vaccination." And I asked, "What was it for? Was it something that she needed for school?" And it
Mm-hmm.
was told to me like it was an option. So it was optional to do the
Mm-hmm.
vaccine. And so I opted
Right.
out. I had asked my mom about it. She didn't know anything about it. I
Mm-hmm.
asked other people in my age group, and they didn't know anything about it either. And when I asked her what type of vaccine was it, she said, "Well, when they're sexually active, this can kind of prevent." And all I heard was sexually active. When you are a parent and you taking your 11-year-old to the doctor
Mm-hmm.
and you hear sexually active, I turned off. No, she ain't sexually active at no 11, so we don't need to be talking about this. That's how I felt.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I just figured that that was something that she can make her that decision when she was old enough to decide for her body. Is This is
Mm-hmm.
something that you need to do once you decide to take that step, because that's how it was brought to me.
And
And
people don't realize that
they don't.
HPV, you can get
Right.
skin to skin. So
Right.
even without penetration,
Right.
it can be spread. It's that common.
Right.
It's
And it
so
wasn't explained at all. I mean,
yeah.
even after I said no,
Mm-hmm.
they didn't explain it. So
Yeah.
yes.
Whew. So no more treatment. You're all done with treatment.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Have you been declared NED?
Yes,
NED.
ma'am. So
All
April
right.
3rd, I was declared NED, which is no evidence of disease, of this
Awesome.
year. So yes.
Woohoo! That is exciting, y'all. I haven't done this before, but if y'all are watching, I see we have some viewers. Go ahead and put some blue and white hearts in the chat. This in celebration of our survivor. No, NED is a big deal, y'all. We want
Yes.
to hear that every single time we go to the doctor.
Yes.
And everybody doesn't hear it all the time. So, whenever we do, is huge. We have Tia is giving you a hand. Thank you so much. All right, so a lot of times when we are diagnosed with cancer, we don't really look deep into it all the time because it's so
Right.
overwhelming. First of all, it's a lot coming at us, a lot of information coming at us at one time. Um, and so I
Okay.
find that it's so important and imperative that we have that family conversation, talking with our mothers, talking with our fathers and our family members. Latia and Tia has sent some hearts to you. Thank you, ladies. Keep it coming.
Thank you, ladies.
So, do you happen to have any history of cancer in your family? Have y'all had this conversation prior to cancer or, after cancer? What was that like for you?
So my mom actually had breast cancer the year that we moved to North Carolina. She's originally from here, so she wanted to
Mm-hmm.
retire and move back here, which is why I'm here. So she, I'm sorry, she had breast
Mm-hmm.
cancer, and my dad actually had prostate cancer, but no one else in the family had cervical cancer.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And I found out like my dad had prostate, my grandma had a gynecologic cancer. No one could tell me if it was cervical or um ovarian. So it's
Right.
like, and then I learned about my aunts and I knew my aunts, uncles, cousin were on my dad's side. All of these are on my dad's side that had cancer and passed from it. But guess when I found out about my grandma? A year after finishing treatment.
Wow.
So it's so important that we have these conversations so that we can then go back to the doctor and say, hey, this is my family history. Are
Mhm.
there some tests or genetic testing or, certain things that I need to be aware of so that I could do as much preventable measures as possible. So
Right.
with that, with your parents having been diagnosed with cancer, was it anything that you all discussed as a family or that came across your mind to be on alert for?
We didn't actually. We didn't discuss it as a family. Basically, we just did through it.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
my family is very we don't talk about things like that health wise. Everybody just kind of gets through it on their own.
Mm-hmm.
My mama has never ever wanted to even. She hates doctors, and I never had an issue going to the doctor. So this is why this was shocking for me because I had gotten my checkups every
Mm-hmm.
year like I was supposed to. So I've had five wonderful, beautiful, healthy children and nothing. So yeah,
Right. Right. And we don't, as a culture, it's not
right,
typical. That's why it's so important, especially within the African American community, that we have these conversations and so much more. And so I will say again, make sure you're following us because we have things that are coming up for January, in January, which is Cervical Health Awareness Month. And so we want to make sure that you are knowledgeable and make sure you share this information out. Make sure you're sharing out even this broadcast because you never
right.
know who needs to know this information. We have a question from Liz that says, any other symptoms outside of the bleeding?
Well, for me, no. Bleeding was the only symptom that I had. That was just for me.
Hmm. And a lot of times with the gynecologic cancers, they sneak up on you in that way because we have menstrual cycles. Your
Right.
doctor said, oh, well, maybe, you have some abnormal bleeding. Let me just go ahead and put you on birth control. And
Yep.
that'll stop the bleeding instead of
Right.
looking for the problem.
Right.
What's the problem, man? What's the problem?
Right.
you know, we got to get to it. So I'm glad that you advocated for yourself. Tia says, right. I remember taking a test back in my 20s for all of those diseases. I can't remember the name though. Was it so there are different tests that they have. So you have the HPV
Mhm.
test and the PAP test that
Right.
you can get when you go to your gynecologist. But of course, they have STD tests and they
Mhm.
can range in how they're administered. So just ask. I always say, and I wrote in my book, check me from the rooter to the tutor. That means,
Right.
in all the tests, give it all to me because
Yep.
you just want to know. The earlier, the better. People are like, I really don't want
Yes.
to know because people get scared, right?
Yes.
Listen, the earlier, the better. The more that
Hmm.
you know, the better. All right. So, let's see, Lindsay. Um, Tell me, you have you were saying you're married with children. Tell me more about your support system because I know that everybody doesn't have a support system. I had a very,
Right.
very, very small support system because I had moved away from where I'm from Florida to North Carolina. And so my support system was very, very small. Did you have, tell me about your support system, your support network, your team? How did that make you feel having them there for you or not? And, was it helpful? Can you expound on that for me?
So I had an amazing, I still have an amazing support team. My doctors at the Levine Center were amazing. My nurse team was amazing. My radiologist was phenomenal. And my friends and my family are amazing. So the people that are
Awesome.
commenting were part of my support team. Liz is actually a nurse, and that's my sister. And
Awesome.
Tia, she's a doula, and she was the one talking me through womb health and telling me
Yes.
different things to do before I found out what my diagnosis was. She has been there every step of the way through my
Mm.
whole entire time going through this. So yeah, I have best friends who I've had in my life since we were 4 years old. Um, Everyone that was supposed to be in my life at that time was here. So I definitely had a wonderful, wonderful support system, and I found Survivor pretty much at the beginning or almost towards the middle to the end of my treatment. So they were really, really helpful because a lot of questions that I had, I couldn't ask my friends or my family because, they didn't know. They were just being here for me, being a support system for me. And even now, as I have been reflecting and telling my story, because I do have a Facebook page where I just journal about my journey because when I was going through it, I was in a fog basically. I really
Hmm.
felt like I was on the outside looking in, like, and
Wow.
I had a complete outer body experience when I was going through this. So going back and thinking about everything that I've gone through and telling it now, I had so many people say, I don't believe you even went through all of that.
Hmm.
So they couldn't give me that type of support, and Survivor was that type of support for me.
That's so good. I love it. Survivor, and I'll put that in the chat just in case you are, wanting to connect with Survivor. You may know somebody who may need that resource. Um, love the organization for cervical um, cancer awareness and advocacy and support. So I put that link in the chat. Make sure you share it out. Um, Liz said, um, okay, so she's talking about, I'm guessing you're talking about the BRCA gene test. I'm not sure. You said no, I mean a test to see if you carry the genetic markers for cancers, etc. I know for the gynecologic cancers, there's the BRCA gene test to see if you have a mark, one of those genetic markers. This says you have to ask because you will get the basic test and they may not detect anything. Absolutely.
Hmm.
Not sure. This might be a GIF or something. Tia says, "Love you, boo," and then I put the link down there. All right. So, thank you all for your interaction too with us tonight or today. I keep forgetting that this may be in the day or night. All right. So, with um, when you were diagnosed and were going through treatment and everything like that, were you offered any programs or services to help you with your treatment, with your um, treatment program or the cost, because I know that the cost can rack up, or any any assistance that you needed financially. Were there any programs? Because a lot of times people are going through, there are resources right here in our backyards and we don't even know. So that's
Yes.
why I asked that question.
No, I was not. So I didn't. No. I was fortunate to have Medicaid, so
Hmm.
I didn't have any issues as far as insurance issues or anything like that so far.
Hmm.
I won't say that I won't in the future or anything like, but at that time, I didn't have any insurance issues or anything. But no, I didn't know anything about any support groups or anything. I found Survivor on my own basically,
Mm.
because I was trying to find, something. And, as I told you and Christy yesterday while I was watching hers, Cleveland County, where I live, has, at their clinic, they actually screen for breast cancer and cervical cancer for,
Hmm.
if you don't have, you're not insured, they do it for free. And I never knew that. And all of
Hmm.
my treatments, as Christy said, were in Charlotte, even though I don't live in Charlotte. That's a whole almost hour
Right.
and a half away from me. And I eventually had to ask for the chemo part, could I do my chemo right here instead of traveling to Charlotte, because that was a lot. I had to do my radiation in Gastonia, which is about 45 minutes, and then,
Wow.
go to Charlotte for chemo. I did that for the first couple of times, and then they finally allowed me to do my chemo here in Cleveland County. But yeah, I didn't find out about the clinic and everything that they offer until after all my treatments were done.
And see, I'm with you on that. I went through the same thing. I happened to be on Medicaid during that time, and they didn't have the breast and cervical cancer Medicaid or um, that support the BSEP program. And
Hmm.
so, I'm telling everybody, make sure you check with your local health department. You say, I don't have the insurance. Check with your local health department
Yes,
regarding breast and cervical cancer support and Medicaid. I'll put more. I'll update that in afterwards because I keep forgetting the name of the program, but
right.
it's BSEP, CCCP.
Yes.
um, so make sure you all do that. And so there are resources available. I know that there are things that um, are available now that weren't available when went through my own cancer journey 14 years ago. You know, so ask these questions. Like Lindsay said, I find out this support on my own. Sometimes you have to do that. You cannot wait and expect that the medical professionals, they have so much on their plate, y'all. Believe it or
Hmm.
not, I understand sometimes we get frustrated with them, but they have a lot that they have to do after they see you. All of the
Right.
paperwork and the different things
Right.
like that, and the things that they have to do outside of the office. So just keep that in mind. Sometimes you have to be your own advocate. That's one of the things that I preach on. All right. So when when going through treatment, sometimes we face obstacles with our treatment. Did you happen to go through any obstacles or challenges, and how did you overcome them?
So yeah, my obstacle. I love to eat. Right. I'm a foodie, and I couldn't eat
Me
anything.
too. Me too. I had to come on camera. Me too. Go ahead, sis.
I could not eat anything. I literally, well, first of all, my other challenge was also iron. I had very low iron, so I had to have several transfusions. I lost count how many I had to have. So that is another thing that I talk about, how important it is for you to give blood, because,
Mm,
that saved my life as well. They were telling me they don't even know how I was walking around and not passing out because I had lost so much blood. My hemoglobin was down to a 4 at one point. So I had to get transfused pretty often. Even during chemo, I had to, sometimes get blood transfusions.
mm,
And So yeah, besides that and me not being able to keep anything down or eat anything, I went all the way down to 135 pounds and not by choice.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a challenge. And also the radiation, I think, caused UTI like symptoms. So I didn't actually have a UTI, but it felt like it. That I think to me was the worst. That
Mm.
was the worst for me.
Oh my gosh. Whew. And
Yeah.
it's different for everybody. So you're
Hmm.
hearing Lindsay share her story. Everybody's experience is different, but the side effects, some people get all of the side effects. Some people get very
Yeah.
minimum. So it's just not something you want to go through. So please go get those PAPs, get
Please do.
screened.
Yes.
So once you rang the bell in April or was
I
it
rang
in
the bell.
January?
No, I rang the bell December 22nd actually. That
Oh,
was my last.
really?
Yes, December
Okay.
22nd was the when I rang the bell last year. December 22nd. That was the end of chemo.
Okay.
And then I still had brachytherapy until January 5th. January 5th was my last brachytherapy.
Wow, that's awesome. So I consider that the start of life after cancer. I mean, you still have,
Absolutely. Yes.
so many different things that happen. Like people think, okay, I rang the bell, I'm done. In your case, the brachytherapy, right? So you finished all your treatment. I'm
Yes.
done. Oh,
Yes.
sis, let me tell you, that's just the beginning.
It is.
So, what has your life after cancer experience been like for you?
So I experienced PTSD
Okay.
because it's definitely traumatic. It was definitely traumatic what I went through. And when you go through it, like as I said, I kind of was in a fog. I was kind of like, I can't believe this is my life, number one. And number two, like I really felt like I was having an out of body experience. I was in a fog through most of it. I knew I still
Mhm.
had to, get things done and, but for the most part, I really, everything was a blur. Um,
Mhm.
so when I finally had to start feeling all of it because I'm a mom and I just wanted to get through it. It was like, hey, you gotta, this is your treatment plan. This is what you have to do. I had moments where I would just break down, moments where I would say, why am I going through this? And real, I've been very emotional about it, but the PTSD came as a surprise. I didn't realize I was as traumatized as I am. So I had to seek a therapist, which nothing is wrong with therapy. I think therapy is amazing. And,
Mhm.
I didn't even realize how traumatized I was until I sat down and started talking about it.
Mhm.
And it's still emotional. I think I got through it a whole lot better and I'm able to talk about it now without crying. I couldn't do that before.
Mhm.
So it's very traumatic. It was very traumatic um, having the most intimate part of your body being violated. That's how I
Oh,
felt.
girl.
I felt
Mhm.
like I was violated, and everything that happened with that brought the trauma on. Everything. I would wake up sometimes because I would wake up in pools of blood certain days.
Mm.
So I started to feel like my bed was my prison,
Mm. Oh
because
God.
I would wake up and think about that. So anytime I felt any moisture or anything, that's normal,
Right.
I would panic.
Mhm.
Anytime
Mhm.
I knew I had to go to the doctor, I would just start crying on the way there. Anytime I thought about, even my husband being,
Mhm.
I would panic because I was
Mhm.
traumatized. Am
Yeah.
traumatized, still traumatized. It's
Right.
still very real and very, very new to me.
Exactly. So, are you working
I
right
am
now?
working now, so I'm no longer working in the school.
Okay.
But I am working. I do data entry. That is my regular 7 to 5
Mhm.
data entry. But I started the health fair, which is going to be traveling because I
We
want
gonna
more
we
people
gonna get
talking
to that.
about cervical
Hold on.
cancer.
Pause. One
Yes.
more. we gonna get to that because you all, if you are in the area, you gotta be there. So, Lindsay, and the reason why I asked you if you're working
Hmm.
for life after cancer, some people work through treatment, some people don't. And some
Right.
people were working, stop working, and then go back into work. So that's why I was
Hmm.
wondering, what was that experience like, that transition from treatment to working?
Yeah.
What was that like for you? I know it was challenging for me.
Um, it was very challenging for me because I couldn't wait to go back to work. I was working in the school still, and I went back to the school, and it was challenging because I wanted to jump right back into my life, and you can't do that.
Hmm.
So, and I also lost my dad right after treatment. So that was another thing. It
Oh
was
my
it was
gosh.
extremely challenging for me because I had just went back to work, and then I lost my dad, and I didn't want to go back to work after that.
Mm,
So
dang.
yeah. So it was very challenging.
So as y'all can see, like even with that example, if you understand the mental and emotional strain of just what you're going through, and then being a mother, a wife,
Mhm.
a caretaker or caregiver, excuse me, and then to have to go through grief. You go through grief within your own body because of
Right.
treatment and because of what has happened to you physically, and then to go through it with dad. um that's, people don't understand. Whew, my heart just got heavy just thinking about what that might have felt like. So I want
Right.
y'all to understand. It says a survivor speaks. You are like, um I saw our guest that I'll be interviewing tomorrow, who I thank God for, that I met through you.
Yes, my
Um
Gwen, yes.
yes. So I'll be interviewing Gwen tomorrow. So make sure you all watch that interview tomorrow.
Yes, because
Um
her story is amazing.
her
She's
story is,
amazing.
oh my gosh, I know I'm gonna be wiped off my feet again, because sometimes these things throw me aback. I don't care if I heard it once, twice, three times, or more. Sometimes it's just, you just don't know. You don't know what someone else is going through. You can't look at Lindsay and be like, really? You went through all of that? You
Right.
can't look at a person and say, you know, what they've been through,
Right.
So what, with all of the things that you've experienced with before diagnosis, after diagnosis, during treatment and after treatment, life after cancer, what is, oh, hello, I forgot how to
Katiana.
say Katiana. Okay, thank you. I wanted to make sure I
Hi,
said it right.
Katiana.
Hello, fellow survivor sister. I love to interview you too.
Yes.
So we have things that happen in our, through our experience, that it's like, gosh, I wish they told me this, or I wish they would have told me that. What are some things that you wish they would have told you before, during, or after treatment? Or what would you say? Man, I wish they would have told me.
What do I wish they would? Well, I think my experience was a little different because they told me too much. I'll say that. I think they told me too much because well, I wish she would have told me what my actual stage was, because she told me stage 2 and it was actually stage 3C. And when I asked her why did she not tell me the proper stage, she told me that most of the time that people would they don't want to go through treatment, or they're in such a state of shock that they're scared to go through treatment, and she didn't want me anything to hinder me changing my mind about treatment or being scared not to go through it. And she didn't want to make it worse than it already was. She told me that it's cancer regardless. At the end of it, it's just cancer regardless.
Mm-hmm.
So the staging,
Right.
not that it doesn't matter, but sometimes when you hear stage 1 or 2 or 3, whatever it is, it's serious regardless. So
Right.
I guess you just didn't want to hinder or make it sound worse than what it actually really was, because to
Mm-hmm.
me it mattered. To me, I would have liked to know the actual stage. But she's right.
Right.
At the end of the day, I was going to still do what I had to do regardless to fight. I have 5 kids. I
Yes.
have a marriage. I wanted to fight. I wanted to be here for it. So it really didn't matter
Mm-hmm.
what stage it was. So that's the only thing that I think that I wish that she would have just told me, and I didn't have to read that. But I was already,
Yeah.
prepared to fight no matter what stage. So
Yes. And that's the thing, y'all. You gotta the biggest part, someone, if nobody gave me the best advice during treatment, this person said to me something that I believe really helped me, and that is a great deal of healing starts in the mind. It starts with what we're thinking about, our perception. So that was um sometimes maybe it might have been a saving grace for you, so you wouldn't
yeah,
be stressed or worried. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
So let's get into the good stuff. Let's get in good with your health with Lindsay.
yes,
Oh, before we
ma'am.
do that, we had a question. Sorry. Liz says work, a coping mechanism, a distraction to keep you busy, or just silly, just something you find, she said, omit silly, just something you find enjoyment to help normalize life. Is that a question? Are
I
you
think it can
asking?
be.
Okay. If, because working can definitely be a distraction when you're going through something traumatic, health
Yeah,
wise. It's definitely something that will keep you busy. And it may be
yeah,
something that's silly that can put laughter, in your
yeah.
heart.
It
And
makes you feel
so,
normal again if you go back to work. Like, I thought I would feel
mhm,
normal, but I didn't actually.
yeah,
Yeah.
it helped me to see just how much my body changed, going into work. I realized just how much my body had changed. Okay. You say, oh, Miss
Oh, yeah.
Philly.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about getting good with your health. What is that? When did you get started? Well, you told us you got started this year with your first health fair. Tell us more about it. What is your vision for it? What do you intend to do in 2024?
So, getting good with your health is it's a traveling health fair slash pop up shop, and it's contributing to a healthier mind, body, and spirit. And once again, I decided to start that because it's not enough people talking about cervical cancer or the importance of the HPV vaccine. And I wanted people to feel like they had somewhere that they could come to talk about things like this and be heard and be understood and find out information and get educated so that they can advocate for themselves. The pop up shop is to um, support the small businesses in the communities contributing to your health and wealth, and as well. So that's how all of this got started.
Love it. I'm excited about being there this year. Tell us, when is your health fair for
It is
2024?
it is January 6th, 2024. It will be held at the Activity Center in Holyoke Park in Shelby, North Carolina. And we also have a part two in Houston on the 27th. It's from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., both events. So hopefully you guys can come out and
Yes.
join us.
And if you are in or around Shelby, North Carolina, make sure you come a day early because what do you have
Yes.
going on a day early?
So I joined the Chamber of Commerce in Cleveland County because I needed Cleveland County to know who I am and what I'm doing. and they will be hosting a ribbon cutting for me, which is going to kick off Cervical Cancer Awareness Month in Cleveland County.
Yes, I'm super excited about both days. I'm looking forward to meeting you and being there on January 5th and 6th. I got the dates right?
Yes,
January
ma'am.
5th
Fifth
and
and
6th.
sixth.
Yes, so make sure you follow our pages. Make sure that you keep up to date with what we have going on. Getting good with your health. We have Liz that says, love it. Tia says, yay, that's awesome. I'm excited. I wish I could
Yes.
come to the one that's in Texas. I have an event. I have something going on around that time too, so I won't be able to. But get out and find out what's happening in your community in January for Cervical Health Awareness Month, Cervical Cancer Awareness Month, for CCAM, so that you can be informed. Okay, so
Yes.
if you let me see, if you want to connect with Lindsay, and I'll repeat it again, you'll see at the bottom of your screen, um, first of all, her survivor story. So you can go to survivor.org/stories/Lindsay G so that you can read about her story. Make sure you share that link out so that other people can learn more about Lindsay's story. Or you can send her an email. You want to connect with her. There are two emails that are listed there at the bottom. Mrs. Leglee.
Lindsay Gullatte-Lee.
Oh, but your email says MRSLEGLEE2
Mrs.
at
Legley. Yep.
gmail.com. Okay,
Yes,
Mrs.
ma'am.
Legley. That's like, okay, I knew it was, I was going to mispronounce it. Okay, Mrs. Legley2 at gmail.com or getting good with your health 01 at gmail.com. So reach out to her. You want to see how you can get involved if you're in Shelby, North Carolina, connect, make that connection. Latia says, I love what you're doing. Let's go. Yes.
Thank you, sis. Thank you guys for
Yes.
tuning in. Please share,
Hmm.
share, share, share the broadcast.
Yes. Make sure y'all share this. So we're about to wrap up. I have just a few more questions, Lindsay. Um, are you doing anything else in the cancer community outside of getting good with your health and traveling and doing the pop-up shops?
So I'm also a survivor. We talked about that before. As she told you, you can also find my story on survivor.org. And I recently became a survivor grad of 2023. So yes,
From Survivor
I
School, right?
yes, survivor school, yes, ma'am. So any type of advocating things that you can think about. I'm trying to get into the schools. I'm trying to go and speak into the schools or anything like that, or anything regarding cervical cancer or HPV vaccination health
Mhm.
is everything that I'm a part of.
Love it. Tia says, I shared on all my pages. Thank you,
Thank
Tia.
you, Tia. Yes, that is the doula. She was also going to be at the pop up, so we're super excited to see her as
Yay.
well.
I look forward to meeting you, Tia. This is exciting. Lindsay, what message would you like to share with the community or to women who are apprehensive about going to the doctor?
So the message I would for anyone that's apprehensive about
Yes,
going,
about going to the
call
doctor.
me and I
Mm-hmm.
will go with you. Call me or text me or email me and I will come with you. If I'm not in the same state that you're in, I can come to you. If that's not possible, I can stay on the phone with you. I can ask you or tell you what questions to ask. I can advocate with you. But definitely don't be scared to figure out what's going on with your health. If you know
Mm-hmm.
or you feel something is wrong, or listen to your body. If anything else, listen to your body because your body is not going to lie to you. I knew for a fact that something was wrong and I was not going to stop until I got an answer. So
Mm-hmm.
just keep going, advocate for yourself and know that it's okay to ask questions and it's okay for you to keep fighting. And it's definitely
Yes.
okay for you to find another doctor if you feel like you're not being heard.
Mm-hmm. Tia says you're welcome. Same here. Look forward to seeing you. So, Lindsay, what is one word or phrase that you would like to share to encourage women who are currently in treatment or who have faced roadblocks in their process?
So my what I always say is celebrate all wins.
Mm,
Celebrate all wins because
love that.
every day is a win. Every day that you are above earth, I mean above ground, is a win. So you can always find some joy no matter what it is, no matter what you're going through. And today, actually, celebrate all wins is something I always say. But today, actually, I was watching some back behind the scene footage for The Color Purple. If you have not gone to see that movie, you should go see it. It is
Hmm.
amazing. But I was
Yes, it
watching
is.
some behind the scene footage, and one of the people that were in the newest movie said, even after everything that you endure, all the things that you endure in your lifetime, whether it be good, whether it be bad, whether it be tragic, heartbreaking, all the things that you endure, we always win in some way. And that definitely ties into how, I see things. That's why I always
Hmm.
say celebrate all wins, because you can always find a win no matter what you endure. At the end of the day, you win.
Yes. I love that. Celebrate. I put all in all caps.
That's
All
right.
wins, no
That's
matter
what it
how
is.
small, no matter how big, celebrate all wins. Thank you.
Yes,
That was a
ma'am.
good one. So, with Serenity, Courage, and Wisdom, we bring awareness through the creative arts. So, there are different ways. Tia says, right, we have to get back into trusting our bodies. Absolutely, Tia.
Yes.
So, I would like to know, do you do anything that is creative in your everyday life, or maybe sometimes something that you like to do that is creative? If so, what is that? What do you do that's creative?
So I'm a writer actually. So I'm
Ooh.
also an author. And I always yeah, I downplay the writing a lot, and I need to
No.
stop. But yeah, I am an
Okay.
author as well.
So what tell me about that? You what book or books have you written?
So after this, I wrote about my journey a little bit, like kind of a journal, and it's on Amazon, and it's called "I Am Not My Diagnosis," which is also my other Facebook page. I am not my diagnosis. That is
Okay.
also the theme of the Houston Health Fair. I am not my diagnosis, because yeah, I had cancer and I fought and I won. So I am absolutely more than what my diagnosis was. A lot of times, people don't even know how to treat you anymore after they find out you had cancer, because they don't know how to act or how to, talk to you, because they haven't been through it or they haven't gone through it. And I'm still more than that. I'm still me at the end of the day. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So my journal is on Amazon as well, and that is the first thing that I've ever written publicly that I published on Amazon, and I'm hoping to do a whole lot more.
What is your journal called?
It's called "I Am Not My Diagnosis."
Okay, so you only have one. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah,
trying to put it up there for them. Okay.
yep,
So
just one.
so it's a journal, y'all. I wrote book. Let me fix that because I want to put it on the screen for you in case you missed it.
Yeah,
We
it's a
want to get
journal.
Lindsay's journal on Amazon. I am not my diagnosis.
Yes.
Yes, Liz said yes. And Latia said, hey. So, yes, y'all want to get that. I'm excited for you, Lindsay, because I'm believing that the best is yet to come. That
Absolutely.
2024 is going to be powerful, amazing, dynamic, and that getting good with your health is going to go up to higher heights. You're going to reach more people
Yes,
advocating
ma'am.
within our community. So I'm super, super excited. Any final comments that you would like to share with our um, viewers today?
Thank you for viewing. Thank you guys for listening. And that's pretty much it. I just wanted thank you, Keisha, for taking the time out to interview me and for listening to my story.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure. I'm super excited about this connection. I'm looking forward to seeing. Oops, I didn't. How did that get up there? I'm sorry, y'all. How did that get up there? My bad. No, this is what needs to be there. My bad. I must have hit something by accident. Sorry about that. So yes, I'm looking forward to connecting with you more, getting the opportunity to meet you again. Make sure y'all come out to the health fair on January. No, come to the ribbon cutting on January 5th, the health fair on January 6th. Come
Yes,
support,
ma'am.
come learn, and bring somebody with you. Bring
Yes,
someone who you know needs to get this information. Okay,
yes.
looks like Tia put in a link in the chat. Okay,
Thank
and
you.
hey, Sarah. Hey, Tam. Yes. Thank you, ladies, for watching. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for all your love. Thank you for coming out, taking some time out of your day to listen to Lindsay's story. There's more to come. Follow, follow, follow so that you can see what's going on in January for Cervical Health Awareness Month. She said, "You're welcome." All right. So until our next time, thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you.
You are welcome. You are welcome. All right. So today, if you haven't done so already, make sure you take a moment to share. The information is still at the bottom of the screen, so that I'm gonna leave it up for like a second so that you can write it down. Lindsay Gullatte-Lee, getting good with your health. You want to visit survivor.org, share her story out, and email her so that you can contact her or share her information with someone else. Liz said, "Great job." I don't see. I think she left the studio. But great job, Lindsay. Thank you so much for coming on. And so until next time, we're going to be back again with another Survivor Speak. So make sure you don't miss it so you can hear another amazing Survivor story. All right. Have a wonderful, amazing day. And I look forward to seeing you again. Bye bye.